Hi, welcome and thank you for tuning in. I'm Rick. I'm your COR and the institutional head of the Scouting Area Committee. I also represent you on the district and council committees and serve as a unit commissioner within the council. Over the past couple of years, BSA has devoted a lot of time and energy into rebuilding our youth protection program. And as of 1 October 2018, all registered scouters and staff had to have gone through the new training program. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to supplement that training with lessons learned from experience and observation. This video is not intended to and will not replace the required youth protection training we must all complete as part of our membership. Youth protection starts with you. You probably see that line on the uniforms of many registered scouters, myself included. There is a patch designed just for this program, and that speaks to the importance of youth protection. In the units I work with, I often remind the scouters that our first responsibility is the health and well-being of the scouts while they are in our care. My own children are scouts, and I take them to events knowing the scouters will do everything in their power to ensure my scouts and others are always safe. Now, we cannot stop everything from happening, but this faith in our leaders is the cornerstone on which our programs are built. Before we get too far along, I want to talk about the Scouts First Helpline. As part of the new Youth Protection Program, BSA National Council has created a task force manned 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, who is specifically trained to help identify if something has actually occurred and to provide appropriate guidance to the local council executive and staff. This appropriate guidance might be something as simple as reminding leaders of their youth protection training, or it might be something as drastic as asking a volunteer to step down. Right now, I want you to take out your phone. That's right, go ahead and take it out and unlock it. Now open your contacts and create a new contact. In this name, you're going to input Scouts First Helpline. I promise the helpline will not bite or hurt you in any way. Now add this phone number, it's also on your screen, 844-726-8871. Again, that's 844-726-8871. Save that number. Be sure to pass it along to your other scouters and volunteers and parents in the program. Everybody should have this number because anybody can file a complaint with the Scouts First Helpline. Remember, youth protection starts with you. Great. Now that that's done, let's go ahead and start getting into the meat and potatoes of this video. First, we're going to talk about the definitions of abuse and neglect. Go ahead and read along on your screen as I read. Abuse or neglect means the injury of a child by any person under circumstances that cause harm to the child's health, welfare, or safety, or the negligent treatment or maltreatment of a child by a person responsible for or providing care to the child. An abused child is a child who has been subjected to child abuse or neglect. Now, severe abuse means any of the following. Any single act of abuse that causes physical trauma of sufficient severity that, if left untreated, could cause death. Any single act of sexual abuse that causes significant bleeding, deep bruising, or significant external or internal swelling. More than one act of physical abuse, each of which causes bleeding, deep bruising, significant external or internal swelling, bone fracture, or unconsciousness. Now, the use of force on a child by any other person is unlawful unless it is reasonable and moderate and is pre-authorized by the child's parent or guardian for purposes of restraining or correcting the child. The following actions are presumed unreasonable when used to correct or restrain a child: throwing, kicking, burning, or cutting a child, striking a child with a closed fist, shaking a child younger than age 3, interfering with a child's breathing, threatening a child with a deadly weapon, doing any other act that is likely to cause or that does cause bodily harm greater than transient pain or minor temporary marks. Now, this list is not all-inclusive. If you believe there is cause to believe abuse or neglect are present, you are required to report it. This information comes directly from the Washington Revised Codes. This is a very serious subject and should not be taken lightly by scouters or family members. Next up, we're going to talk about the 3 R's of youth protection. As we go through these, I'm going to read some notes regarding each statement. The 3 R's of youth protection convey a simple message for the personal awareness of our youth and adult members. Recognize that anyone could be an abuser. Now this means, unfortunately, it could be our own volunteers and members. Our background checks and vetting processes do well, but they are not perfect. This is a large part of why we have 2 deep leadership rules and policies in the BSA. Remember, this is for the good of all of our youth. Respond when someone is doing something that goes against your gut or against the safety guidelines. If you see the need, remove the victim from the situation right away. Get that person to safety in the company of other leaders. Reassure that person that they are going to be okay and that they are safe, and report the incident to the proper channels. Report any attempted or actual abuse or any activity that you think is wrong to a parent or other trusted adult. Remember, go ahead and call the Scouts First helpline as well. We have all of these resources and aids to help protect our youth. Nothing should be left unreported. Even if something reported at the Scouts First helpline comes out to be unfounded, the fact that it has been reported means the responsibility has been taken from you and transferred to the people who are specially trained and designated to provide guidance on the next steps. Now let's talk about the steps to reporting child abuse. Step 1 is to ensure the child is in a safe environment. Remember, if you see it, you're already going to remove that child from the situation and place them in the care of other leaders. In cases of severe child abuse or emergencies, medical emergencies, call 911 immediately. In addition, if the suspected child abuse is in the Scout's home or family, you are required to contact the local child abuse hotline. Notify the Scout executive or his or her designee or the Scouts First helpline. In all cases, that helpline is going to be notified. Remember, the staff and volunteers at the local council will not always know the exact procedures to take. Scouts First will help make that determination and guide the local council. Do not attempt to investigate the situation yourself. That will only cause problems down the line. Do not discuss the issue with others outside of the notification chain. This is exactly how rumors get started, and those rumors could be detrimental to the investigation, your local program, and the Scouts program as a whole. Once you made your report, your responsibility, your job as a mandatory reporter has been completed. Okay, so now we're going to take the next few minutes and talk about the Scouts First helpline. Now, the Scouts First helpline is so important that the BSA has devoted a lot of time and resources into creating it and making it available to our Scouters, Scouts, and family members. Let's talk about who can use it. There really is no limit as to who can call the Scouts First helpline. BSA guidelines state that anybody who believes a youth in Scouting might be at risk should report and make this phone call. While this hotline is intended for Scouters, I also recommend using this to report any incident involving any youth at our Scouts programs. Remember, as registered leaders, we are mandatory reporters. We are required to report any incidents that we witness. Now, when should you use it? Official BSA guidance says that you should report any time a youth has been harmed or their safety and well-being is at risk, and you cannot immediately reach your local Scout executive or local council. Recent experience has showed me that you should contact the Scouts First helpline for every concerning situation, even if the local council and Scout executive can be reached. It is suggested that you never hesitate to call the helpline. They are able to assist you in determining if you need to take any actions now. Can you use the helpline after normal hours? Absolutely, yes, you can. The goal of the helpline is to provide immediate assistance that ensures the alleged victim, as well as the unit and council leadership, are fully supported and the appropriate actions are taken. During business hours, a member of the National Service Center will help you. Calls made after hours will be answered by an answering service that will take the information, determine the level of urgency, and notify the appropriate person. Even if you're not sure, go ahead and call. They will be able to help you determine if there is something that needs to be done right away that hasn't been done. A couple reporting tips. When you call the helpline, the other person on the other end wants to help you. In order for them to help you the best way possible, you need to make a report as soon as you can. You should be as accurate as possible in your report. Lack of information is not a good reason to delay a report, but the information you have will help in determining the correct course of action. Remember, more information can always be added later. The hotline is intended to provide guidance to you, your unit, and the local council. This is a resource for us to use to better help protect the scouts. If you report the incident directly to the local council, they are required to notify the Scouts First helpline so that the incident can be filed and recommendations for appropriate action can be taken. Like I said, the Scouts First helpline is such a big deal that we need to make sure we know it, and we need to make sure everybody has this number. Remember, if you see or suspect child abuse or maltreatment, call 911 immediately. All suspected incidents of child abuse in scouting must be reported to the Scouts First helpline. If at any point you have any questions about youth protection or youth protection training or reporting policies, feel free to reach out to your youth protection champion, your unit commissioner, your district executive, or any of the executives at the Scouts office. They are there to help you to provide a good program. I often tell my leaders that when we as Scouters are successful, it is the Scouts that benefit. Part of that success includes providing a safe, good program for our Scouts. Scout safety is always and has always been our #1 priority. I want to thank you for all you do to make our Scouts safe and to provide an awesome program for them. Without you, we would not have a program for our Scouts to go to and our Scouts to grow in. You guys are the glue that keeps our program together. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you for all you do. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.